Hey guys, gals, and others. I am outside. I needed to get some fresh air. I know when I start to feel like a little depressed or kind of lethargic, it's usually that I need some outdoor time. But I started myself a little fire because it's 16 degrees above zero right now, so it's only 16 out, and that's the high for today. So anyway, this is just a quick mini pod on an observation that I just recently made, thanks to a really great video by Breaking Points by Crystal and Sagar about how there's a deliberate plan, manipulation to destroy our concentration as human beings. And it was really interesting how, like the internet, I mean, basically the internet is all about, social media, advertising, getting people to buy or do things. So all of social media, it was created for manipulation purposes. Now there's great things that have come about from social media. People across the world can hook up and find like-minded people, and there's a lot of good things that have come from social media, but the scales aren't quite balanced when it comes to all the manipulation tactics and the bad stuff that has occurred. And so I want to take that a step further. You take that and then you add to it the nutrition of your basic American. When I worked over at the bank when I was cleaning Wells Fargo, Burger King was right next door, and there was never not a line. Never. Burger King always has a line in front of it. McDonald's always has a line in front of it. Arby's always has a line in front of it. We're talking about millions of Americans who eat fast food more than once a week. That's pretty bad. We know how bad it is for us, and yet a lot of times that's, parents, they have to feed their kids. How can they feed them? They feed them on the dollar menu because they can afford it. In this country, it is the food laden with all the artificial processing stuff, the GMOs. That's all the cheap food that your average poor working class person can afford. The good stuff, the nutritious stuff, the organic stuff, the stuff that should be the food that we're eating is expensive, and therefore it's kind of reserved for someone who has a higher income. So, are you getting the picture? This class war thing goes real deep. The roots go real deep. So we have social media, which consumes many people's lives. They're on there for 4 to 5 hours a day, teaching people how not to be able to concentrate. You add to that a diet of dollar store or bar or convenience store or fast food, and I actually know people personally who live off of that stuff. You add that, so your brain's not getting nutrition, so you lose the ability to critically think. This is why so many people have been taken in by all of the rhetoric of what's going on now in our political system, with the pandemic globally. This is all being affected. The reason people are so easily being led by corporate America and falling into line, especially those who have a continuous diet of either CNN or MSNBC or any of the left-leaning news programs. You're not getting a diet of news, you're getting a diet of high carbohydrate, identity politics, and entertainment. That's what you're getting. You're not getting real news from those sources. So if you add all of that up together, it's no wonder that we have a country with so many people who are confused and willing to believe their government, and willing to believe Big Pharma, and willing to believe Fauci because they want their normalcy back, and they have lost the ability to critically think. Bad food, lack of sleep, that's the other thing. A lot of people are on social media until 2, 3 in the morning. When do they sleep? you know, and it's not really a conducive sleep if you're on a computer screen, you know, a couple of minutes before you go to bed. You should actually quit all electronics a couple of hours before you're ready to go to sleep. I think this is a problem with a lot of people who have insomnia. You know, they're up watching television programs or online programs. They're, you know, they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, whatever they're on. It's keeping them awake because your brain needs time to step down from that, what is it called? That chaos of the internet. Your brain needs time. So the best thing to do a couple hours before you go to bed is perhaps read a book, because that's using a different, that's firing off different neurons. That's using a different part of your brain when you're reading. And it actually can be conducive for sleep, a good book, especially if you find a good boring book. You know, like, I don't know, U.S. history according to the great generals. You know, something like that. My dad had a lot of those books. He was into that kind of stuff. That would put me right out. So you want to know how they're doing it, how they're playing this hat trick? That's how they're doing it. They're confusing people, and they are bombarding us with messaging so that we can't concentrate on one single thing. You know, and people were not meant to multitask. We cannot do that. We can't concentrate on more than one thing at a time. We can pretend that we are, and we can be running around, but we're very vacant when we're doing that. We're not concentrating on one thing, so nothing really gets done in a quality manner. There's that. So that's the social media, the internet, online bombardment. You have all of the corporate mainstream news now, the news that, you know, comes over your television, bought and paid for by Pfizer. All of the programs are bought and paid for by Pfizer. And you can look that up if you don't believe me. And then you have this awful, horrible food system in America where, you know, unless you have money, you can't afford to eat healthy. So you're eating all of the crap, all of the genetically modified foods, all of the stuff that isn't good for your body. It's no wonder this pandemic took America apart at the seams, because we are not healthy, and that's the bottom line. There are more obese people in America than any other country. And that's a big thing with this virus: obesity, diabetes, comorbidities. And I have people that are mad at me because I won't get a vaccine because I don't need one. I've had COVID now 3 times, and the last time I had the sniffles. That was the extent of my COVID experience. So it has gotten less severe each time I've gotten it. I never got a vaccine. I'm never going to get a vaccine. I've never had a flu shot in my life. I never intended on getting a flu shot. So I have health problems that I have managed to get under control, and I'm not going to add some random thing that I don't know how it's going to affect my body if I don't need it. And I obviously don't need it because I take care of myself. I watch what I eat. I'm a label reader. We don't go to restaurants. We don't go to fast food places. Everything is homemade, cooked here. I cook everything basically from scratch now. And we like it that way. It makes us feel better, you know. Both Andy and I are getting up there in age. We're not spring chickens anymore. So when people say they hate me because I won't get a vaccine, should I say that I hate someone who obviously has never taken care of themselves in their lifetime, eats dollar store food and fast food and feeds that to their kids, has a morbid obesity problem, or some other comorbidity that is directly tied to being overweight and unhealthy? Should I hate those people? You know, when you talk about, oh, well, we shouldn't even let people who are unvaccinated come to the emergency room. Should we do that to people who are morbidly obese, or people who have diabetes because of their weight and their diet, or people who are alcoholics? You know, think about what you're saying. So this whole vax versus anti-vax, it's a distraction. And if you're playing into it and you're hating somebody because they did or didn't receive an invasive medical procedure against their will, then you probably should take stock of your own life and see where you're lacking. Because again, a lot of this pandemic also has spread because of people who are extremely unhealthy. And sometimes we don't have a choice in that, but sometimes we do. I mean, I have lupus, and I've had some pretty severe flare-ups. But because I have lupus, that's why I'm so into getting fresh air at 16 above, or hiking, or walking my dog every day, eating right, and trying to get enough sleep and enough water. Agua, H2O, water is life. That's not just something people say. It's a truth. So I guess my bottom line is this, that if you're wondering why so many people are still falling for it hook, line, and sinker, this is why. And then you add to that a public school system that really is not doing the kids justice, and a for-profit healthcare system. We really don't have a chance in this country unless we really, really put effort into it. So what I'm saying is, everyone who's listening, put effort into being healthy. You know, put down the goddamn Burger King and maybe start cooking some meals. You'll find it's cheaper to cook at home, and you'll find that you can control the ingredients. I mean, you know, a pot of homemade chicken noodle soup will last an entire week, and all the ingredients that you need are carrots, celery, some good non-MSG, you know, chicken stock, and some egg noodles, and you got yourself, you know, I mean. And if you don't know how to cook, if you're hooked on the fast food thing, then, you know, look up recipes. They've got all kinds of simple recipes for eating healthy. But it's really time that each American took responsibility. The vaccine is not going to heal you. The vaccine is not going to make you healthier. What's going to heal and make you healthier is eating right, getting enough sleep, drinking enough fluids, and getting enough exercise. That's the bottom line. You know, if we want to be healthier in this country, we have to be healthier individually. And that also means not playing into that whole vax versus anti-vax, because that's just ridiculous. And it's falling by the wayside now. If you look in the main news, for the past almost 3 years, 2 years, COVID has been on all of the news outlets. Now when you look on YouTube on the mainstream news, like CNN and all those, it's no longer about COVID. Suddenly COVID is not headline news anymore. Isn't that weird that all of a sudden it's not? What is now are the distractions, like what's going on with Russia and Belarus and Ukraine and all of that. Now that's the distraction. Even though it's none of our business, that's the distraction that our corporate government is going to use to keep us from asking questions like, so why, with the number of people that are already vaccinated and boosted, why haven't we gotten rid of COVID? Are we ever going to get rid of COVID? Where did COVID originate? What was going on at the Wuhan lab when they were doing their gain-of-function research, which was overseen and funded by Fauci? Just a lot of stuff that we should be asking, but we're not, because now there's another distraction. So I guess, my point is be healthy. Be healthy in mind, be healthy in heart, be healthy in spirit, and be healthy in body. And it's less likely for them to be able to look below your eyes, and you're going to have a better quality of life. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Get out if you can, even if it's freezing cold, because the fresh air is wonderful. Got my little fire going, and it's just going to be a really I'm going to stay out here for a couple more minutes and try and get my health going. But this is winter for us. This is what winter looks like. My lone flamingo, my Mother's Day present. Oh, I'm trying to do this with mittens. Let's see if we can. There, I see my flamingo. Probably mighty cold. Thinking I wish I was in Florida. Yep, this is our winter. My little living room chair, which is covered with snow. So yep, This is winter. We like it to a certain extent. Anyway, have a blessed rest of your day. And remember, mind, body, spirit, be healthy. Namaste.